out of Hawaii. One thing I want to read from you from this opinion from the judge, he basically said that this third try at this executive order, it, quote, suffers from precisely the same maladies as its predecessor. It lacks sufficient findings that the entry of more than 150 million nationals from 6 specified countries would be detrimental to the interests of the United States. So the judge there saying that the administration has not proven that barring these people would help the situation in the United States. And he also said that the executive order, quote, plainly discriminates based on nationality in the manner that the Ninth Circuit has found antithetical to both Section 1152 and the founding principles of this nation. So, Brianna, just to reiterate, this is travel ban, the third version of it that was supposed to go into effect tomorrow. A judge, a federal district judge in Hawaii, has now ruled that this travel ban, it cannot go into effect, that it, at this point, he says it appears it is unconstitutional, and he has stopped it from going into effect. So once again, the administration's third try at this struck down by a federal court judge. Brianna?
All right, Jessica Schneider has the very latest on this. If you wouldn't mind standing by for me, I do want to bring in Jeff Toobin, our chief legal analyst, to talk to us about this. Jeff, what's your reaction?
Well, this is the continuing saga of the travel ban. What's interesting about this ruling is that Travel Ban 2 was supposed to be addressed by the Supreme Court this month, but the court dismissed that case because it was moot. Travel Ban 2 is no longer in effect. But what I think is almost certain now is that this ruling about Travel Ban 3 will be on a rocket ride to the Supreme Court, and we will get a resolution one way or another. I think each time the Trump administration has revised the travel ban, it has become more likely to be upheld. It is more narrowly tailored. There is a more explanation for the basis for it. Obviously, the federal district judge in Hawaii was not persuaded that this one was constitutional, but I think the Trump administration is in better shape defending Travel Ban 3 in the Supreme Court rather than the 2 earlier versions, and I expect they'll have the chance sooner rather than later.
Jeff, by the Supreme Court passing on Travel Ban 2.0 because 3.0 was going into effect or had been drafted and was going to go into effect, that wasn't the Supreme Court's way of signaling how it felt about 3.0, right? It's just the point was moot, and this has to go back through the process of being potentially challenged as it now has been by a lower court.
No, I don't think we should draw any conclusions about whether Travel Ban 3 will be upheld based on the dismissal of the case involving Travel Ban 2. That was just a procedural matter. The Supreme Court had no real reason to address Travel Ban 2 because it was moot. It was no longer in effect. I think this is likely to be a close case in the Supreme Court. This is, but I do think the Trump administration probably has a better chance in the Supreme Court than it has, particularly in these courts in the Ninth Circuit court in the region covered by the Ninth Circuit, Hawaii and the West Coast of the United States, where most of these cases have originally come up, which tend to be the more liberal courts in the country. The Supreme Court is certainly more on the conservative side.
All right, stand by for me, Jeff. I'm bringing Tim Naftali, presidential historian, back in with me. Okay, so this is quite some breaking news here, as we've learned that a federal judge in Hawaii, saying that the travel ban, the third attempt the Trump administration has made at it, that it is not constitutional, at least according to him. So Jeffrey Toobin telling us this is going to be on the express train to the Supreme Court now, Tim.
And Jeffrey would have a much better sense of what might happen there. But this is just a reminder to the president that there are 3 branches of government, and that at least the judiciary co-equal and the judiciary is pretty healthy. What I'm looking to see is how the president reacts. In the past, he has dropped the presidential demeanor and gone right after the courts when he hasn't gotten a response or a decision that he liked. So let's see what he does today. Best thing for him would just be to say nothing and just appeal it, but We never know with Donald Trump.
Well, that seems unlikely that he would do that, right? Considering what he has said about the courts in the past.
It's a shame. It's very important for every member of the triad, constitutional triad, to show respect for the other. It's part of the deal. You play in this game, you play in that sandbox, those are the rules. So if you're in Congress, if you're in the judiciary, if you're in the executive branch, you've got to show